the Lord has given us music as part of His creative design of humanity. There's something about music that really gets our affections, involved in our minds and, all of our being. And music is just part of our lives. It's part of how we image God. So I started music when I was 5 years old, actually. I started playing the violin, and then I switched to the French horn when I was 9. And by the time I was 15, I became pretty competitive about it. So yeah, my relationship with music started before I met the Lord, and I feel like music is just my first language. I met the Lord when I was 11 years old. For many years, I kept waiting to have just this lightning moment of, yes, you can be sure you are called to this. And I think I did never quite receive that. So for me, it has been more the long term, just in the way God has opened opportunity, has put people. The seminary, for example, is one. So He's always led me, just like this shepherd, like come this way. And if I ever get to a point where I'm not supposed to go, He surely pulls me on the right track. So it's been such a blessing. God brought me to Southwestern to give me sort of like an oasis period of time where, okay, you can breathe in this this peaceful environment where, the level of education, depth, knowledge, relationship with the professors, relationship with other students, conversations. I mean, it's just a treasure. I talk a lot about Dr. Kreider because he's the first faculty member that I got in contact with before I came to Southwestern. And even from his email, I was already impressed. This man. In his email, he actually wrote that sentence like, music is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. And I cannot get it out of my head. And I'm like, oh, I want to study with him.
At the end of the day, I don't think God ever called His people to gather around music. I don't think He would have called His people to gather around something that changes so frequently with a culture, and that all of us as individuals have our own personal playlists. I believe that God called us to gather around Jesus Christ, who never changes, and His Word that never returns void. And then music becomes the servant of what we do in worship, and that's to respond to Jesus, and it's a wonderful servant.
Zephaniah 3:17 talks a little bit about how God sings over us with joy, with gladness. That image is amazing, just imagining that God sings over His people. Because if He does that, I surely think He's glad to hear us sing back. A Christian calling as a musician, I think it rightly puts the word Christian first, because that's the main calling. Follow Christ. Be like Christ. I used to do music to always achieve this greater goal that sort of was always unattainable. But my classes here have changed that. Music is not the way, Jesus is the way. Really, music is just, and this is what my teachers say here, it's just a servant, it's not the master. And that has given me greater freedom to do music.